Yep.
So, first off, thank you for everybody coming out. Before we get anything started, let's do a little applause for Harrison for putting this fun together. Everybody committed a 72-degree Saturday to come in here and watch the documentary and be here for the discussion. That's a pretty big deal. So, I'm Jermaine Morris. I tell people all the time, all I do is talk for a living. All I do is run my mouth. So you might hosting stuff, whatever. I'm just talking again today. So this is a panel discussion that's immediately following the Hidden Colors 5 documentary, which we all just witnessed, which was a lot of great information showing all the different ways that basically we at war, whether it be through the education system, through law enforcement, economically, just medications and entertainment and just all the things that we get bombarded with that are constantly working on us in every which way we can think of. And so we're gonna have a couple of already set up questions to kind of get the discussion going, but then also questions and information that you guys like to offer so we can all kind of get on the same page and still continue to follow with what the documentary was doing with this exchanging information and really being a solution-based discussion. So not just about what's wrong or what we think are issues, but how can we combat some of the stuff that we just saw, as well as other issues and concerns that we may have. So first I'd like to do is everybody kind of go down on this panel, introduce yourselves. Everybody's familiar with everybody. Sorry, Brother Keon.
My name is Brother Keon, Sacramento resident, 30 plus years. I work in the community, specifically dynamic of black family, black boys and men. I work in education, high school, junior high schools. I'm a father, I'm a brother, and I'm a village hand. And I'm always down for solution-based, finding solutions to our ills and what we got going on. Yeah, simple as that.
Right on. Chris Lodgson. I am a local resident, not native to Sacramento, but I've been in Sacramento for about 5 years. I'm originally from New York, born and raised in Manhattan, Brooklyn. Community organizer, I'm a political organizer. I was fortunate enough to start a platform here a few years ago called Sac Black Biz, which organizes and markets to and does marketing support for Sacramento black-owned businesses. We have a network of about 500 businesses that we've been working for years to support directly here in the city of Sacramento. And also do legal research. I write for a local online publication too as well. And I'm someone who just cares about our people.
My name is Harrison. I've been a lifelong resident in Sacramento. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I started a platform called Melanated Fathers of America, melanatedfathers.com. Being a father of 5, I've had a lot of strenuous circumstances I've had to go through. Being a father, being a black man and a father at the same time, I figured out different ways to deal with it, but my biggest mission is creating a platform that educates black people about history, about the importance of family, and the importance of creating structure in the household. So that's pretty much what my platform focuses on.
I have doing Kings and Queens. My name is Saint. Actually, my name is Aurelius. Everyone calls me Saint. I got the company, apparel company called Lyrics Matter. This right here I do lectures on as well. Lyrics matter because words matter. And how we speak to one another, is how we treat one another. So like he said, as far as the family structure and things like that, being that I'm from Southern Illinois, I'm pretty sure I can hear the twang. I was actually in Ferguson. I stayed in Ferguson. It was probably 4 or 5 years before I moved to California. So I've been in California 7 years. I also I have another company called Protect the Queens. I mean, it's pretty blunt and simple. We're here to protect the Queens, period, I do a lot of lecturing as an educator, more so group homes, the high schools, elementaries, the colleges as well on collegiate level. And as an artist, I play with a lot of bands as well, basically just pushing the whole role of substance, right, without being corny or anything like that, so we can keep in contact with the youth. Because the minute we lose that, they don't want to listen. They don't think you went through what they went through already, So that's really the whole thing, and I'm thankful to be here and honored, and I appreciate y'all that y'all here.
Hello, y'all. My name is Mr. Lewis. I'm from Sacramento. I'm an entrepreneur, father, gardener, videographer, and I've been out here for 7 years. Well, I've been doing this for about 7 years. what I like to call rebuilding the culture, just highlighting, you know, like everybody's saying here, family structure, gardening, health, you know, just self-love, and just all those types of things. So, you know, I'm just here to just be a part of this panel and to continue to do what I do in the community.
Thank you all for coming out. So, watching the documentary, a lot of it is based around with historical relevance. So, a lot of times we think that what we're going through is specific to today, and we think that because we don't have the historical information to see what's come before us. So, some of us, we've been on this planet a little bit longer than others, and we remember, you know, the riots in the 90s, or we remember issues in the 80s, you know, we were talking about how crack came through in the 80s. Some of us remember the issues in the 70s, some the protests in the 60s, depending upon how long you've been along the tooth yard. You remember how stuff was before. Well, one of the issues that we have about not knowing what's going on today is our young people don't really have context. So a lot of them, if they're under 20, you know, they're born in 2000. So there hasn't really been those things that have been monumental to them. They haven't really seen a riot like that. Or maybe to them, maybe it was Ferguson, or maybe it was, you know, something like that they kind of get a little hint to. So one of the issues that we have with them is how do we get our young people engaged in the history? Because we have a lot of the 15, 16, 17, 18, they don't care like that. You know, it's not their world. They don't have that, it doesn't really touch them. So for you gentlemen, the first question to get started to the panel, how do we get our young people involved in watching something like we just saw and actually taking it in and doing something with it?
Good question. Getting our young people I think it has everything to do with connecting to the history now, right? Because we understand that in more ways than one, history is a reoccurring, you know, cycle. Understanding that today's day is tomorrow's history, right? Or yesterday's history. So I think it has everything to do with understanding the connection of, you know, how things come to be, the place that you're in now, how you exist in now as it connects to the history, you know, trying to highlight happenings to make it more relevant, you know. Sometimes it could be tricky, because I know one thing when I was young, history wasn't until I was like 13, 14, you know what I mean, that history became a little bit more relevant to me, and only because I started understanding racism. Right, so my thing was, you know, I used to call white people cracker, you know what I mean? But then understanding how I was getting treated then actually made me look at history in a more, you know, in a broader tone. So I think it's finding creative ways to get them to understand how the relevance of today, you know, came about from history is one angle.
Any rest of y'all?
I mean, I'll throw.
We don't have to go one.
Okay.
Just
I had some quick comments because I actually do want to defer to some of the folks who actually work with the youth on this panel. But I think a couple of things come to my mind as I work to organize youth here in Sacramento around the political agenda. One is to make it real and make it now. I think you were alluding to that, Keon. It has to have relevance to what's going on in their life right now, whatever you're trying to engage them with or engage them about. I think that works best. And the second thing is that's worked for us is that we've involved youth directly in all areas of the activity that we've engaged in. So it's been youth sometimes leading the discussions, right? It's been right. The messenger matters, and it matters more, and it works better when the youth are actually doing the teaching. Okay, so those are two things that have helped.
I personally think when it comes to getting kids involved in documentaries like this, Black history in general, right? Being a father of 5, I realize, and this being of my 5 children, the only one I've had the pleasure of having in my home full time, right? So I think it first starts, and he should have started earlier. We should have started with him earlier. I think first it starts with 2 parents coming to the conclusion that this is something we want to teach, right? I've always viewed my home as like its own little country, if you will. The rules, the standards, all of it is created by me. So I make him watch documentaries. Now, sometimes he picks up stuff from it, Sometimes I see him yawning. I make him watch documentaries. I make him do reports on people in black history. So in a way, I want it to be fun and I want it to be educational, but I put it in his face all the time. And then I correlate what happens in society. A black kid gets shot. We talk about it. We talk about it. I correlate it to a part in history. He says, like the brothers have been saying, he notices this is nothing more than history repeating itself. So now, I would say he's somewhat of a small revolutionary. When he sees things, it makes him mad. When he sees things, he jumps on it. That was taught. Now that's me, but also the mother tongue, his mom. I think it's extremely important that our women are interested in history, because you can't teach nothing that you're not interested in.
Right.
So I'm the man in his life. So we drive and we in the car. I'm hitting him with everything everything I know, everything I want him to know. But he gets home in a softer tone, in a more nourishing tone. His mom telling the same thing. See? So he's getting the same message from both people pretty much all the time. To a nauseating effect sometimes, because we're just coming in and learning stuff and we're excited to a degree. But our home is what this encapsulates. All the time, these are the things we're talking about. When news comes on, when Kobe died, any cultural event that takes place, we treat it like we're doing right now. And we have a detailed conversation about it. And I think first it starts there. So wanting your kid to leave your house and care about history in school, or share it with his friends, or hear it somewhere else and maybe relate to it, good luck with that. It's going to start inside of the home. So that's my thing. I think with our children, we start as young as possible. First, we begin caring about it, then we gradually teach it.
I definitely agree, not just to agree, right? But I agree, like what you were saying, you put it in his face, right? Like with me, working with kids all the time, you know, even in the colleges, like the number one two things that I always see and resonate to with them is, one is the music, right? So we can't be hypocritical at the same time, because once again, when we talk about history repeating itself, there's no reason why every generation should have a gap to where, because you become a parent, the older you get, you losing connection with your child. So one thing that I know is we have to be, it doesn't matter if you get older, you still got to be right there with them. When they say certain words, you need to know what that is. You hear me? Like, right? So because they like that, just like when a child has a teacher that can, oh, you crazy, and draw that line, right, between child, student, adult, young adult, then they'll respect you more, right? A lot of things that I have recognized is that we want, all of us, right? And the generation before and the generation before, we all want to help the future ahead, but we get this judgmental thing going. We get this judgmental thing going. Don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do this. I don't want to listen to you either. Because you're not going to keep telling me what not to do, right? As far as women, as a young man, I've noticed just in my own life experience from parents that were, I'm going to say, more lenient, but would say things like, oh, I know y'all ain't down there kissing on my couches, y'all, right? Because that little bit form of respect shows them that you respect them as well, right? Because they're going to get older one day, and they're going to do what they want to do. Otherwise, guess who they're going to run to? They're either going to thug on the street, or they're going to look at me with all these tattoos and say, dang, what did he do? I want to be like that. He don't work for nobody. So what I'm saying is that a lot of the times with are you speaking on the family structure, you're speaking on the family structure as well, put it in their face, right? But he didn't say, and he better watch it. He better do this. Because now you're going to gear them towards a run away from you. You know what I mean? So, and when I say the music, I'm not saying go listen to the music. What I'm saying is, when I say we're being hypocritical, we can't be hypocritical is, you can't tell your children or anybody to do something, then first thing you do is you get in the car. You pop in that Boosie or that Jeezy. He disrespected every woman of every flavor, especially black women, exploiting them, okay? But we get in the car, we're not understanding that these children are hearing this. People, places, things. They don't nothing touch you like music. Nothing. Even deaf people listen to music because of the vibrations, right? So what I'm saying is like, okay, baby, I get that. You want to listen to that, but why do you think he said that? So we got to educate ourselves as well on what's new, what's popping, you right? Because if we don't have that connection, we all see this. The older we get, we losing this separation. But if we keep that core, you know, with them and let them know, like, I'm gonna let you live your life, but I'm also gonna let you know what's not so good for you. It started with us as far as being a hypocrite, is what I'm saying. And I see that a lot. That's why I'm on my friends' heads who have children, right? Because that's the issue that we're going through. And that's why the woman is the most unprotected, because I see some older gentlemen in here. One thing that an older man who ain't about his business, he can easily overcome this woman with his child, because everybody wants love, right? This is how the mother or the parent ends up losing sight of their child, because we all want love. Okay, so you playing this music, you still chasing love, and this child is not getting the attention that they should be getting. And when they do get attention, we're only telling them what not to do. So that's all I'm saying. Like, we got to stop being so heavy about what not to do. Like, we didn't make mistakes. Like, we not here for that reason. So that's mainly my whole thing. Is I stay out the judgmental zone with the kids, and I just simply ask them, what you like? Why you like it? Oh, you like that? Oh, no, I don't really care for it. This is why. You know, and for me, I can't speak for everyone because everyone has different teaching methods. For me, I walk into class whether they this big or in college. They think, you know, oh man, they want to listen to me. You see what I'm saying? So that's just something that I picked up on, as well as like what all these brothers were talking about as well. The family structure, putting in their face, you know, other things like that. It's just staying active within the community, because all these brothers right here, all of us, I'm pretty sure, can say somewhere along the line we recognize the man in our life or a woman in our life, and that's why we're standing right here today. So I didn't even keep talking so much, but I just want to go like illustration up, because for me it's that important. You know, these kids out here, that's all.
Right. And the same goes for me. Like everybody was saying, Brother Keon, as far as like history repeating itself, you know, we gotta continue to draw that relativeness of, like he was saying, like how history is repeating itself and how it's going on right now. Like what went on is still going on. So we gotta, you know, continue to keep their minds remembering that. Like, okay, like, you know, pointing things out. Like, look what's going on. Look what's going on in the community, on TV, all of that. And again, it's just like everybody was saying. It's the support. It's being there. It's being involved with the young ones. It's showing them how the history now, or just the old history, how it benefits them. You know, how does, because, you know, being young, you're like, man, how is this going to benefit me right now? I'm trying to play basketball. I'm trying to go do this. I'm trying to do that. How does this history benefit me? You know, showing them how just the empowerment through the history, being involved, like I said, making it relatable, you know, having that village, like my brother was saying right here, you know, just it being in the house and being on the music and being, you know, wherever you sending them, you making sure that everybody else is backing that up. Your mom's backing it up, you know, or don't send them somewhere where they're going to be doing something totally opposite of what you're doing, you know, just trying to have some type of control and just the importance, just continuing to show them why it's important and how this is everything. So,
okay. And let me add on that, just closing, right? Because when we look at history, we think, oh, that's way back then.
Yeah.
That's way back then, right? So I think drawing correlations between then and now, just to infuse what we're saying, just drawing correlations and making those connections, because one thing about our children is they are very intelligent. But we always overlook how intelligent our children are. But if we could just point certain things out, and to a certain extent, I would almost say force them, right? Or put it in front of their face and keep it in their face. Because when you look at, and I hate always comparing certain stuff to the Jews and all that, but they make sure they babies know.
No.
The babies will never forget. So I think it's just as important for us to always keep it front and center.
Okay, so obviously it's important that we get the young people involved and making sure that they know history and all that. How much information, how much effort or energy do we even care about our peers? Because I go to a bunch of functions and I go to discussions, and we put so much emphasis on what this next generation does, and we're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds. But we have somehow written off everybody over 29. And then we don't re-plug in until we're talking about those over 60. We talk about, well, the elders in the community have this role. or they represent this, or these are the people you can go to get information, or go talk to your grandma about this, go holler at granddaddy about what he went through, or make sure you plug into the youth, make sure they know what's going on in the future. But miraculously, this group between 30 and 59, we don't even address them anymore. Those are the people in the prime of their work years. Those are the ones trying to make rent and pay mortgages and make sure kids are taken care of. I got you. So at what point are we saying we just gonna leave them alone? Or are we saying, do we have any type of energy, information, are we plugging into those folks at all?
I'll add something.
Well, Mr. Lewis, he
You know, because I'm 29 and I still have that doubt.
You're right here, right? If we have this meeting a year from today, we ain't gonna get it. Well, look, he on the road somewhere, he doing his thing.
But I still have that discussion with my parents now too. It's like, you know, I want them to still know that we a village, like we're a family, we're trying to get somewhere collectively, and it's like, you know, it seems like the culture has been like kind of influenced by this American way of doing things that don't benefit us. So it's just like, oh, when you get 18, you getting out the house and you finna start doing things like this and doing things like that, you know? And I feel like we shouldn't have those types of barriers on the children if we're not even prepared, if they're not prepared all the way to, you know, do what they need to do in life. So it's like, yeah, I feel like it's important that the family is still my mom and my dad are still here supporting me along my journey to get to where I went through, where I'm trying to get to, because I feel like, you know, they didn't really properly prepare me, you know, so it's like, I definitely feel like we need that support still, you know, if I'm struggling, you know.
Are we still plugging in with the people, your next birthday? Are we still, when we get to the folks who are, like I said, the 30, you roughly 30, imagine everybody else is over 30. So, 36.
Y'all look real good, real good.
I'll be 43 this year. So do we have any responsibility, energy, concern? Do we care about the 37-year-old who doesn't know anything about what was on this video?
Yes.
Do we, and let me clear this so then we'll go down to field the question. Not to the point of judgment or ridicule like you should know. And not to the point of I'm going to browbeat you into shaming you into why don't you plug this in. But what steps do we do that are solution orientated, the same way like with children? Not like I said, not to shame them into it, not judging them for what you didn't or didn't learn at this point in life. Or do we just, because I hear a lot of times in a lot of these functions, in this conversation we say it's all good, but a lot of times we say after a certain age I'm not bothered with them no more. They set in their ways. I'm not trying to convince some 35-year-old to be involved with history or to learn whatever. We write a lot of them off. So if we do have energy for it, what are some constructive, supportive ways to get that 30 to 59 group involved in watching stuff like this?
I think.
Well, Chris.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick.
Hey.
Take my time. So one thing, so in the intros, one thing I neglected to mention is that I am one of the folks who helped start the local ADOS Sacramento group. And ADOS is,
They don't know it.
yeah, but let me already give a quick thing. ADOS is an acronym by itself. It just means American Descendants of Slavery. It's on my shirt right now. It just represents the 35, 40 plus million of us whose ancestors were enslaved here in the United States by the United States. Those of us who have a claim for reparations, basically, right, from the U.S. government. One of the most important things that we do as a movement is political education for our peers, for our families, for everyone really. But there is a special emphasis on our peers right now, and so the answer is yes. One of the ways that we do that, I was just telling Keon before we started, we do regular information sessions. And there's one coming up next week, Saturday, February 29th. It's on Florida Road. We're doing ADOS information sessions from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Where we make a concerted effort to do political education because it's hard to do the right things outside in the world if you don't have a good foundation and if you don't have a good political education specifically. So that's how we're doing that.
Okay.
So I personally, that's a great question, Jermaine. I personally struggle with that. I would say up until maybe recently, I felt like people my age, if they weren't privy to stuff that I knew, I didn't feel it was my job to teach them. Because I think sometimes when dealing with grown men especially, it's a little difficult to impart certain things on them if they don't think that way. So what I've learned, because typically when I'm in a room full of men, this is just real, sports, primarily women secondary. These are the topics of conversation.
Yes.
It's not really much more than that, right? So I feel kind of funny sometimes coming into this circle and talking about white supremacy when their focus primarily is sports or whatever they're talking about. So what I like to do is things like this. People at this point, my whole point of starting my platform was everybody I know, I want them to know what I do. That's the goal. Everybody in Sacramento who knows my name to know what I do. So what happens is the people who are interested, they show interest. They come out, I post things, they show their concern. They show that once you show you care, then we start dialoguing. Then I share, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Then we begin the dialogue. So no, I don't think we should just, because that is a running thing in our community, focus on the kids and just leave the adults alone. But I think you should meet people where they are. So if it's a person who doesn't know anything about history, start a basic conversation with them about it. And my personal belief is, like some people think running to religion will change your life. I know people who are Christians now, and by their assessment, they're living better, they're happy now, right? For me, history has done that for me. Like the people who really lived that look like me, that has done it for me. That has brought me to an awakening to a degree. So I think, no, we don't give up on anybody, but you meet people where they are, and if they show interest, then you give them the information. Because if, with social media and everything that we do, people know your ideology most times. If you really believe something, everybody around you know. If they're not talking to you about it, it's for a reason. Right? You see what I'm saying? So I wait for the person to be curious. I have friends who I love dearly who aren't here, right? Now, one part of me says, we kick it all the time. You there? Why can't you be here for this history? I can't take that. I can't take that approach. I have to say, maybe he was busy, maybe he don't get it, maybe he don't understand. I'll meet him a different time in a different area, you know what I'm saying? But I'm never gonna forgive up, or I'm never gonna give up on the people that's around me. As long as unless they, show me that they're anti-black to a degree, then that makes it a little difficult for me.
Most of them are. Because of real talk, because of our training, our conditioning, and where we are. In our practices, whether we know or not, we show up as anti-black, right? So to a certain extent, we don't have to shame them, but it is shameful. You know what I mean? In our existence and things. And sometimes it is forget about the older generation. Because I look at it like clay, right? Children are still malleable, they still moldable. Sometimes you can catch them in that transition age where they go on from soft clay to hardening, right? When you try to move hard clay, you can break something. Sometimes you can add a little bit of water to still get that mold, that bend. We do get set in our ways. And sometimes it does become hard. I always say leave space, right? Leave space for those who are willing. You can't totally write nobody off, but you can kind of get a feel of where people is at. It's always important to just focus on the youth directly, because I promise you 10 years pass so fast. If you work with a 10-year-old today, by tomorrow he's 20. And if we work with a certain generation long enough, continual enough, we see that change we want overnight. And I call it 10 years overnight, but...
This is not an either or. Because the reason why I pose that up is because I work with a bunch of kids all the time, and just when I'm in certain spaces, I hear that such a strong emphasis on the children, which I agree. Because I'm thinking what you're doing with your son, as opposed to your 40-year-old cousin, and he in 4 decades of life, he showed zero interest in history and all that. To try to get him now, I understand that's more of an uphill battle. He want to talk to you about LeBron, he want to talk to you about what the Kings are doing, or old girl. But to get him on board with that stuff is difficult. Did anybody else want to check?
like Harrison was saying, as far as like we just got. I know we kind of be all spaced out, and everybody be doing, you know, their own thing. But we gotta try to continue to have events like this. Continue to try to bring people together and party. You know what I mean? Like me being 29, you know, like I like to party. You know what I mean? I like to
keep doing that 29.
Just so you know, on this side of the line, me being just who I am, man. You know what I mean? Like I like things to be fun, and I feel like it can still be fun. You know, just like if it was a regular, you know, get together party. Like, you know, we could be playing music that's relevant to the way we live our lives. You know, we could eat the way we need to eat. You know, we could still just do things like, you know, that's just kind of fun. You know, and yeah, just creating that structure within what we're doing, creating boundaries. Like, you know, like, hey, this is how we. I mean, those things kind of form on their own, you know what I mean? Just being together, and we just like, you know, everybody just see how we rocking, and we just like, okay, this is what it is. But yeah, just not allowing certain things to get into our space right here, you know.
Okay, so sticking with that from the last question, and so because I think this is important too. We talk about getting everybody on board. Kind of what they were addressing too is that when we come together, we don't all have to come together. We don't all have to be on the same page. You were addressing slightly religion before, because we'll have some groups that are like, if you don't have Jesus, you don't have nothing. Mm-hmm. Other people will be, if you ain't down with Allah, I don't know what to tell you. Other folks will be like, y'all still believe in organized religion? Some folks will be, you know what I mean? Some of us get these ideological beliefs, which we have to put first. And if you can't get in alignment with that, then I can't fully get in alignment with you. And so we have certain degrees of division in all this separation. So what does unity actually look like? So when we have a group of people where you're saying that, okay, well, if Jesus is the light, Jesus is the way, and everybody who's not on board with this, I can't really fully get in with you, you know, then with us, we have a lot of brothers and sisters who are more spiritual. We're saying that the whole organized thing in general is just not something I can rock with. I'm getting ready to come to, I'm going to get y'all up. I'm magic over here. I'm getting ready to set you up. I'm getting ready, because you ain't going to see it coming. That's what I'm saying. With that. So we use those ideologies are real easy to say if you're Allah, Jesus, not at all. But now we have to incorporate across the board our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, the ones who are like gender, I ain't gonna call it confused, but gender. I'm just, you know, non-traditional, whatever we. You don't gotta be politically correct. No, I'm just trying. I'm speaking to everybody. So, but when we have all these different things that fundamentally, in some ways, go against each other,
we black in common.
But I'm saying, what does that look like? Practical, real life. Because we can say that we all black, but as soon as we sit down, that separation is going to come out in the very first conversation. So what does that look like moving forward? So I got you.
My thing is like, I didn't hit 3/4 of the United States, and someone probably look at me, right, and be like, oh, Lord, this boy done killed 78 people. Right? So but my thing is like, I'm so proud of who I am because I am the change. I am a change of perspective. Right, I do have a 3-point average. I did go to college, whatever that means, because I can talk about the education system, but that's another thing. What I'm saying is like it seems like to me it's like getting you wouldn't give your child for their first car a Ferrari, right? So my thing is going back when you were talking about ideologies and things like that. Unfortunately, that doesn't matter because that's the thing. We always trying to like, okay, we're going to unify, we're going to do unity. All right, we're going to get the peace. All right, we're going to do the love. We're going to, right, but your conversation when someone says hello was good though. Right? Instead of saying, hey, how you doing, King? All right, pleasure to meet you. Same. So there's a difference. That energy, that tonality, I could have walked in like, hey, what's up, bro? All right. You can argue all day, doesn't matter. The one true thing we do know, that energy is true. Okay? So what I'm saying is that, one, we need to recognize for one, okay, 2 generations have been lost. One to drugs, crack, heroin, the bomb and attack on us. Okay? 2, we gotta understand that that generation, when they had children, they weren't there for them. They grew up as pimps and all these other things. 3, then you got us coming behind them. So we've been playing catch up. Okay? So once we understand that, damn, why they so mean? Why they so this? Why they so that? I'm from Southern Illinois. When I walked in here, I wanted to say, hi ladies, how y'all doing? All right, it's nice to meet y'all. And sit back down because that's how I was raised, right? California scares the mess out of me. Because I've never seen children. I don't care if you 78. Let me come in the room with a woman and I'll say, how you doing? Ma'am, you know, I ain't get my hair cut today, but I better take that head off. Yeah, you can sag out there, but you better pull them pants up, right? Because we lost that. And people, we say things like, well, religion, and man, that's beyond. Because we can't even talk to each other properly. So what I'm saying is, once you recognize a child, baby, even a baby, you sing to a plant, right? You talk to it nicely, productively, it'll blossom, it'll grow. Imagine what that does to the human. You always wrong. Why you doing that? Why you keep messing up? Right? I was a child that was beat a lot. I've been expelled from kindergarten to 8th grade because I was beat so bad when I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go. By 11 years old, I had been blinded 3 times. Okay, from being beat up by adults that was supposed to protect me. Right? So when we talk about forgiveness, that's the beginning of it. I'm not here to, I don't believe anyone is. No, we can't force someone to do it. But what I'm saying is that it does mess people's heads up. Something real simple. You mad, you walking around, ooh, and then the person in the wheelchair say, hey, how you doing? I got the nerve to be mad. So my thing is, you can play with God, Jesus, Allah, Ra, Amun, wherever you want to put the title on. We can argue and debate a whole day. That's fine. What I'm saying is, we have to learn how to speak to one another because this ideology, there's no room for this generation to understand this generation to understand this generation. Y'all over there, because y'all are older than us. Right? They over there, because those are our elders, and then we over here. And before I end this, I do want to say this. Man, majority of the opportunities I get, white people paying me. White people putting me there in those opportunities because they recognize what they can see in me, right? That's because I know that we have a true battle. And that's why I said when we get into unity, I don't even speak on unity, peace, Kobe. I don't speak on none of that stuff because we don't, you can't be a bigot. Do we understand the literal definition of civilization? So I'm going to get mad at this man or this person because they say I want to be a transvestite. Or this person because he said, well, I don't get it with the Jesus stuff. You ain't right. It sounds like madness to me because I didn't met Satanists, people who thought they hated me, racists. Hey, brother, you know that swastika really mean peace, right? The man that bought me a bird, I don't drink. The man that bought me a bird and I leave, right? So what I'm saying is he saw that. I didn't have to be like, what you mean, no? No, man, because when I said that, no, your people did this, your people did that. My grandmother, I'm done, I'm almost done, y'all. My grandmother's family from Mississippi, okay? What I'm saying is, I wouldn't be here if a white family didn't allow my grandmother and her 11 brothers and sisters to stay in their house for 2 weeks before they moved up to Chicago and Mississippi, away from Arkansas and all these things. So me personally, I don't have a racist bone in my body because I don't understand that. I understand love. I understand vibrations. I understand energy. Hey, how you doing? All right, take care. That's what gives me joy. And I see that when I deal with kids because they don't look at me like I'm not talking to them, talking at them, I'm talking with them. Yeah. And I think when we get older, we feel that we're obligated to talk to people crazy. You can't be a bigot. You can't be saying you want to do this. You can't say do that. Hey, I'm doing it, but don't you do it. I'm grown.
Yeah. So stick with that is because I can tell you are the minority. So, and I appreciate your perspective when you move through life and the energy that you give and the responsibility that you have to be accountable for you and what you present and what you give off. I'm telling you, that's an extremely small percentage because the average person we come across is judgmental. They have their ideological jacket that they put on and rep to the fullest, and they're going to let everybody in the room know that this is who I'm down with, and everybody who's down with what I get down with, meet me over here. And we gonna leave them people over there.
Them people.
So I got both of y'all. So for the ones that are not as enlightened, and the ones who are not as evolved, that we all come across. This is not unique. How do we get working with them as well? Because and I don't know everybody on that deep level, but I'm sure.
Oh, we getting no attention.
But I'm sure out of the 5 of y'all, at least one of y'all has had a moment of not as enlightened.
Of course.
So when we're talking about, and I understand that the idea of unity is can we just all get moving in the same direction? I'm not gonna argue which car to get into or which just can we just start moving this way?
That's it.
What does that start to look like in real world, like real time? I got Chris, I got Mr. and I got you, Keith.
Okay, I'll go through
I'm going in the order that y'all put your hands up.
So I think so I was actually on a panel on Thursday or one day this week in Oakland actually. Okay, and it was titled ADOS meets Pan-Africanism. Okay, I'm here today, and I disagree with a lot of what I saw in the movie. To be honest with you, okay, there's a lot to disagree with from my perspective, but I'm here. Okay, I'm here, and I'm not here saying y'all are wrong. This is wrong. This is and I'm here. Okay? So I think it takes courage. I think it takes being proactive and having people who create these kinds of spaces where different kinds of thinking can be together. I think it takes redefining what you think of as unity. Unity doesn't mean that we all think alike all the time. It doesn't mean that we all get along. Right. So I think it takes also working to taking a proactive approach to looking for what you do agree on. At the panel in Oakland on Wednesday, it was we had a good discussion about the sort of Pan-Africanist view of Black struggle and the ADOS view of Black struggle, and then myself and our other brother talked about what the differences were, and then at the end, the organizer brought out like a whiteboard and said, all right, let's find 10 commonalities, 10 things that these people agree on, okay? And people were first like, 10? Like, I didn't hear one. And then as we started thinking and talking, we had 12, okay? So I think it takes a proactive effort to find where the commonalities are too.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's just being simple and saying having a meeting like this or having the continuous get-togethers and just saying we're not going to focus on all of the titles and all of that stuff. We're just going to focus on what's important and just going from there. You know what I mean? Like, we all know it's important. Our economics is important. Getting our money together is important. Our health is important. Our family structure is important, and figuring out how we're going to rebuild our culture, and I feel like we just need to start talking on that. Like, how can we get our money together? What do we need to do to, help each other and just, keeping it in that direction? Like, you know what I mean? That's just what I feel like. We just need to be straightforward about what we really need to do and start moving towards that and not talking about everything else. Like, why are we talking about anything else other than economics and how we finna get some money to put ourselves into better situations so that we can have better health and so that we can have a better future for our little ones, and you know what I mean? Like, just continuing to go in that direction.
I just think it's a good question in essence, because in essence, we don't know what unity looks like. You know what I mean? 400 years later, and we still here having these conversations. We don't. I think the idea of it it's a utopian idea overall. It's something that I think those of us who truly hear it present and then like minds and like hearts is something we truly do want. But we have to figure out a lot because we don't know what unity looks like. We've seen movements, we've seen pockets, and then you see somebody come in and break that thing up or infiltrate this or whatever the case may be. So I just think it's a very good question for us to ponder in our own spaces, in our own minds, in our own hearts, and just really think about what that could be. But in essence, do we know what unity looked like? If we knew what unity was and what it looked like, I don't think we'd be in the situation that we're in right now.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that, I personally think that unity is necessary with all of us, but it's simple to me though. I think the unity starts with just love. Like, you black, I don't care if you really African, I don't care what part of Africa you come from. Your melanin makes you my brother. So let's start there. So I think if you consider yourself someone's brother or sister, you're a little less likely to fight with them or fight to the point where you don't want to have nothing to do with them no more. I think you start with being brothers and sisters because of how we look. Whatever you represent, whatever religious faction you represent, or whoever you pray to, I personally think that should be secondary. We put everything above being black. Our job, where we live, the type of we put everything above being black. When to me it's simple. I look at a lot of people that I admire in our community, a lot of people that I look to for information, and everybody has like dissenting views. And one of the biggest things we do, in my opinion, is we talk about each other. On public platforms, we talk about each other. We need to stop. We need to stop. Anybody's phone number you want to get, you can get it. Everybody has messengers, you can hit them directly. You see what I'm saying? I think because we've been deprived of so many resources, because we've been deprived of attention, that sometimes it be just an attention play. Yeah. I want to be the leader. I want to be right. That don't matter. Because we still get shot in the street. We still going through the same, like the brother said, we've been having these kind of discussions for how many years?
Long time.
So I don't look at it like that. You black, you my brother. If, for instance, he said he disagreed with the movie, right? We can get into what he disagreed. I don't care. I don't care.
He looks like I'm sitting next to you right now, willing.
He here, and he came out of the movie with the right energy. He didn't come out like, I'm out of here. He couldn't do that. You see what I'm saying? We gotta learn how to say, I'm watching something or I'm listening to somebody that look like me, and I don't agree with nothing this brother is saying. But if somebody come in here right now and try to get him, I'm with it. It has to be a simple level of unity. Because again, everybody in the same room together, we don't know what we be on sometimes. It can be, that's when the violence and all, because there's no code of conduct. We have to say, okay, I love you, brother, sister. Now, what is the code of conduct? How are we going to move forward together? Right. You can have some stuff you're doing on the side that's different from what I believe in, whatever. But when we come together, it's going to be a togetherness. And when I leave your presence, I'm not going to talk about you. When I leave your presence, I'm not going to go in a group full of white people and talk negatively about you. I know I don't like this. I know this brother got some stuff that he say I don't like. But somebody outside of my community said, I'm going to defend him till I can talk to him. You know, I don't like what you said, bro. But in front of guests, I'm not going to put you out like that. And that's simple to me. And I'm not religious. I'm not any of that. But if you a Christian, but you want to fight, but what we doing, man, come on. I don't care what you believe in like that. It's just, that's a simple level of unity to me.
And I want to say that.
I got it. Go
ahead, brother.
Okay.
So, I said I don't know what it looks like, but if you see what I wrote down, I said unity looks like love. Because in its simplistic form, that's exactly what it is. Right? It looks like family, but then you see how family like, you know, blood don't make us family and all this. So it's like it gets to a level where you're like, well, God damn, what is it? You know what I mean? What is it?
It's the money, you know what I mean? We all can relate on that, you know? When somebody got some money, you can,
We are. I mean, I think it's just.
But somebody else will tell you money.
We're going to do things.
Yeah, people. I mean, one last thing. You know, one of the things that is so powerful, I think, about the ADOS movement is that what we say unifies us is our lineage. Okay, everyone in here shares a common lineage. Okay, at least from I'm assuming, right, or a similar lineage, right. Every one of us can trace our ancestors back to some sort of plantation here in this country. That is what unifies us, at least according to our.
I said more sitting here like, no sir, brother.
Right. But they would also say, you know, I'm not black, right? So
before I get that, I want to make sure I don't leave you out.
Just something real short. Basically going back, you know, as far as the speaking to one another, that being related to the words, and definitely like I like what both of y'all said as far as basically not being a bigot. We can agree to disagree. Now we can see you may know something that I can take and apply as well, vice versa. But I do want to point out that every movement that actually works, about 80% of them are women. Black Panthers and all the other organizations. You get what I'm saying? what I'm saying is that we have lost the gentleman just because we've been. It's like when you deal with pain, right? We deal with pain. Then you go, or you're dealing with something and you convey that to someone else. What I'm saying is we have to restore the gentleman, like period. Until we have the gentleman, okay, that goes back to how we speak to one another. Instead of, hey, how you doing, love? I'll forget you then. Like, who said that was cool? That's because that's what we do as young men. We sit around and talk because we don't have that father there. So what I'm saying is, I'm just a firm believer in, instead of speaking so much, just be the change. Because whoever you need to affect, you will be the proper vessel and instrument to reach the right person. And if you're not, you did your job. That way we don't have to worry about, well, I don't like what they said, that's okay, because they got their own walk. You worried about them, they probably gonna surpass you because you're stuck on somebody else. You can't do that. This is a whole world out here, a whole spectrum. You know, so whether someone's Christian, Muslim, or whatever they want to be. So my whole thing is just about, with me, it's about the gentleman, okay? Because at the end of the day, no matter what we go through, we gotta protect our queens, okay? And if you really want to go forward, protect women in general, okay? And that's where we really have to get, because we can all sit like sociology and speak or do certain things because we think someone is looking, right? But we someone else when we don't think someone is looking. You know, and we got to talk about these issues. There's a lot of community stuff in the community that's going on to where, as me as someone that speaks and does a lot of lectures, we have to stop getting so angry when we're speaking, and we do have youth and adults here, because all they're taking from that is, okay, so if I really want to get something done, it's got to be violent then. And I'm tired of this, and every time. Right, but you didn't show them the other spectrum. I'm entering doors I'm not supposed to enter. Right? I'm pretty sure all of us are. But what I'm saying is, dang, I got 10 tattoos on my face. So if I can walk into this establishment, really, what is the problem? So what I'm saying is, for me, it's just being a gentleman, man. Just because I don't like something, you may even upset me. I'm not gonna let that disturb my peace, though, is what I'm saying. And that's something we have to get on top of that, you know, because that's why we're losing faith or path or whatever. It's like a game. You can put all these different denominations or whatever you. What did he say? What it look like? It look like love. You know what love look like. I know what love feel like. If it ain't love, you got to distance yourself. You got to feed them with a longer spoon, but you can't hate no one. I don't even hate people that attack my pin. I don't hate them.
No, brother.
No, I don't hate them.
Keep going. So I think we all in alignment with the same thing, and that we all look at unity is not with uniform thinking. We all understand that ADOS, Pan-Africanism, Moorish brothers, Christian. You can have, there's some different ways that we all know we just need to go north. That's it. We all know we need to go north. That's all it is. Y'all want to ride the van, y'all want to ride the truck, you want to take the motorcycles, y'all want to walk because you like the scenery, but we all are heading in the same direction.
It's not in the line. It's not.
Yeah. So the details of how it, most of that stuff, I think we can agree are not necessary. Right. So one of the issues that we have when it uses like stuff like this, and I think what you brought up was a good point, when it goes to how we know that our kids get attacked in the school system. We know they get misinformation all the time. There was an issue like 2 years ago in the state of Texas. They're changing the history books to removing black slavery and calling it African immigrant workers.
What?
Actually removing that Africans were enslaved in American history and replacing them with immigrant workers, the term immigrant workers.
Words matter. That makes it sound softer.
So what happens is that, as we get a few decades and a couple of generations removed, you know, the ones who were around, who were in their 20s and 30s and the 60s, will phased out. The ones those were our parents, those will phased out. We will be the 60, 70, 80-year-olds not involved in what the school districts are doing for our 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and that will become the new terminology that they'll start using. They tested them out in some school districts in Texas, the beta test, the practice run, and that's the move, that's what they want to shoot to, that they want to start changing the terminology. So a lot of us agree that what's taught and what's history, and we'll watch a documentary